folk who needed accessible and affordable care became a part of my story. Jim also became a part of my story. Or I thought about my work for Corey reform. And then I'm reminded about a young man who I now know today, who's in my church. His first name is Corday. He's come out of prison. And he represents the hundreds of young men who come out of prison, but they cannot find a place to stay. And he is, at this very moment, living in a shelter. And as I become conscious of this, suddenly I discover how I'm being touched. I looked at the schools that we have adopted and the work that we're doing in the Dearborn School, the work that we are so proud of. But I suddenly discovered, or rather subtly discovered, if you will, that among those young people were young people who go to shelters when they leave the school. They live in homeless shelters. They are part of the homeless population. Can you imagine doing your homework in a homeless shelter? Oh, what I'm suggesting is that as I looked at the invitation from the network, I actually began to hear the voice of God praying. Who will go for us? Who shall I send? And then this last text got me. This Matthew text. It got me. Can you say it got him? It got me. Because in that encounter, I had a flash of the Matthew text, which is one of my favorite texts. And, you know, for Christians, this text is at the end. It's when we stand before God and there's an accounting made of how we spent our time. It's when there is an assessment and a determination made about whether or not we actually hit the mark or missed the point. Can you say missed the point? Missed the point. And then this text came. And I could hear the voice of God in Jesus as he speaks to us. And I could hear him speak to me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. When I was a stranger, you invited me in. When I was naked and needed clothing, you gave me clothing. When I was sick, you visited me. When I was in prison, you helped me. You reached out. And then, to my surprise, I discovered something that shocked me. See, I've always looked at this text, and my work for healthcare found its theological grounding in this text. And my deacon's ministry that in my church that goes to visit the sick, you see, and my trying to get healthcare, affordable care to sick people was grounded in this text. It dealt with the sick, you see. Can you say sick? My work with Corey reform was grounded in this text. It was about how do we deal with people who are in prison and getting them back integrated. I thought I was fulfilling the theological thrust of this text. It was grounded in the text. My work with the adopted school program was grounded in this text because I was convinced that if I could help kids graduate and get to college, that they would develop the economic means to make sure that they could take care of themselves, provide for their clothes and feed themselves and help to be a blessing to other people. But then when I looked at this text, having heard the invitation to join the fight against homelessness and to do something about homeless families and homeless individuals, I discovered that while these pieces picked up pieces of the text, that there was one category that wrapped the whole text up in it. Can you say one category? It was homeless families. It was homeless individuals. You see, they are hungry. They are thirsty. They are strangers who need to be welcomed in. They are the ones without clothes. They are those who are often sick because they have no treatment. They are they who end up in prison and who try to come out of prison and find. They, homeless individuals and homeless families, not only those that we know about, but the countless those who are not on anybody's rolls. They are the undocumented. Come on now. They are those who are living with their family members like I described. Countless upon countless. It is homeless families and homeless individuals that finds itself in the very center of what I'm supposed to be about.
Preach, preach. Talk about it.
And I just had given an empathetic glance towards it. But in fact, as I deal with homeless families and individuals, I get to deal with quarry stuff. I get to deal with healthcare stuff. I get to deal with educational stuff. You see, they all intersect.
That's right. That's right.
There is the grand discovery for me. You see. Really blew me away. So let me conclude. Here was the other and last thing that messed with me. Messed me up.